Okay, going on with the JK build with the 2018 5.3 8-speed install. Ran into a little snag yesterday dropping the body. See if I can come up here a little bit better. The back of the intake barely touches on the firewall, right up there where that foam's missing, and I mean barely. We took a hammer and beat on it just a little bit, just kind of knocked it in. Wasn't enough. We were worried about the torque of the engine and the twisting and stuff rubbing on it. Just barely kissing it. So I opted with a 1.25 inch body lift. That's not here. It's supposed to be here this afternoon. Unfortunately, I work afternoons. So I went ahead and pulled the body mounts off with and then knocked the studs out. That was literally a 30-minute job. So some of the things that I've ran into doing the install, that was one of the problems, was that I wasn't expecting the motor to hit. Now, I've got the motor all the way forward in the mounts. This Jeep was a 2-wheel drive Jeep. The motor mounts were pretty mangled. It looked like the motor had taken a hit. The body has, or the frame had absolutely no damage. The body looks like it had a front-end collision, but like I said, the frame was good, but the motor mounts were twisted. I refabbed some motor mounts, put in there. In retrospect, I probably should have just cut those out and put some other ones in. Okay, that's one problem. The other problem I had was the power steering pump required with this kit. I am using the Motech kit, 2012 and above. You're gonna need that. I bought a cheap one off Amazon. I'm sure I'm gonna regret it. It doesn't look like it's going to be that big of a problem to change when I do change it, but at least that'll get me going and I can get other things sorted out. So, and then figured out where that pulley went. I didn't have the instructions. Robbie and his crew were off the week after Christmas and before New Year's, so I didn't have anybody, and that was the week that I was off that I wanted to work on it. The AC lines were pretty easy to figure out. That came with the kit. I got those sorted out. The wiring, I got to tie in these two wires to these two wires. When I get those placed, I'll solder them in. Those actually are tapped in. You don't cut anything, you're just tapping those in. This goes to the SS fan wiring, which the Camaro SS fan has its own plug. So I simply run one to the hot, one to the ground, and that green will go over to tie in with the other wiring. So that's going to be no big deal. I did hook up all the grounds. I haven't finished. I still have some ground to bodies to hook up, but I didn't know if I had to raise and lower my body anymore. That really isn't no big deal. The other problem I had was getting the Motech stuff to fit down in that hole where the slave cylinder goes. This is an automatic. There was already some previous wiring that came through from the previous owner, getting all the plugs to go in, and then I had to figure out how to solder the wires behind the instrument cluster. That was really an easy job. I way overthought that. And of course you can't see anything up underneath there, but getting all that stuff tucked. I still got to put the OBDS module in, but I'm going to say I've got 40 hours in it. A lot of it was just sorting stuff out and trying to be unconfused. I still got to hook my shifters up and my emergency brake cables. I'll do a follow-up video, but so far the problems that I had were minor. Not having the power steering pump, figuring out the wiring without instructions, which Robbie sent me the instructions. Body touching the back of the intake. I actually took the plastic intake cover back off to see if I can get it to clear. It would not. I'm gonna make it where it goes back on. I opted with just an 1.25 inch lift. I don't like the way the body lifts look. I'm hoping 1.25 inch will kind of hide it, but I'm hoping to drop the body tomorrow or Friday, get the brake booster and everything back in, and then get that engine bay cleaned up. Oh yeah, make sure you got plenty of 5/8 hose, extra hose. This is just a temporary, just so I know where everything routes, but you're gonna need that for your emissions and system. other than that, pretty straightforward. It didn't come with exhaust. I was disappointed about that, so I do got a couple exhaust guys. I'm waiting on a quote from one of them. We'll get this thing buttoned up.